This episode is brought to you with the help from Nubelity. Nubelity is your go-to IT partner offering tailored solutions in talent acquisition, infrastructure support, network reliability, and cutting-edge AI. We help you stay ahead by turning technology into a strategic advantage for your business. Nubelity, turning your challenges into powerful opportunities. All right, well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Viking Press Pass. I'm Matthew Nickel, and today joining me is the women's basketball head coach, Coach Beinborn. Mark, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, it's exciting, continue to kind of branch outside of football that we started with this year. So it's been exciting to connect with, outside of that and kind of branch away. So let's just get started. So, the Vikings finished, 13 and 14 overall, last year, and coming off a prior 19-9 season, it's your 13th season as a head coach. How are you kind of approaching this year so far?
I'm loving it. I think going off of what you said about the last 2 years, 2 seasons ago was obviously a great season in everybody's eyes. Last year, definitely disappointing, falling, a game below 500. However, I was really proud of the group last year. We, finished third in the league that had the top 3 teams ranked between 7th and 12th in the country. Those are the 3 teams that swept us, and we just couldn't beat them. And the big reason was a lot of them, they pressed, put on tons of pressure, and we just lacked depth at guard. And, ultimately coming into this season, when we had, again, little guard depth last year, probably the best group of bigs in the conference, but we turned it over so many times, put a lot on the shoulders of Cadence, especially Cadence, everybody, but had people playing out of position in roles that they had to. People have never played point guard. And I realized, that's all on me not having that depth. We went out and got a big class. We have tons of freshmen in this group. Return a good core. Obviously do not have Callie Pepez healthy or playing yet, which is clearly a big piece for us. But I think it's good. I've been telling the team, us having to learn how to play without Callie. If we would have had Callie going into our scrimmages, Callie makes some things easier. Being 6'3", shooting at a 60+%. I'm like, hey, guys, we give it to Callie. She's an easy target. She's going to score 60% of the time she shoots it. She'll get double teamed a ton. She'll kick out for open shots probably 2 out of 3 times. That third time she might get a turnover, but she's learned to deal with double teams better. So not having her, honestly, as rough as it seemed to start, I think it's a blessing in disguise. We've had to learn how to score and play and produce without her, and I think that's been very beneficial. I know, again, being so young, I know where our talent level is. I know we're quicker, we're more athletic. Our guard plays, our depth at guard plays better. Our ball handling's better. So the biggest issue we have, and people have asked, what's your weakness? Well, we're young. We have a lot of freshmen. Mm-hmm. So I gave them 5 games. I said, you guys get 5 games to be freshmen, and after that, there's no excuses anymore. And, we're just focusing on getting better every day, learning lessons from, obviously, our scrimmages and our first 2 games, which, didn't go exactly how everybody would have liked, but I told them after our St. Mary's game Friday, guys, I'm not in panic mode. First game, we played great for the first 18 minutes. Got a little panicky because we couldn't make shots, but we were playing rush, playing nervous, playing like we've never been here before, which most, over half of you haven't. So challenge the upperclassmen, the returners, that we need you guys to lead. We are a young group, and you guys can't afford to have your own problems when we're in a game, whether you're, Carly Stone got in foul trouble in the first 2 games, limited on minutes, obviously frustrating for her, not ideal for us, but at the same time, we discussed a lot about adversity, and you're going to deal with it. And, That's not just for the game; it's for life. And I think that's the most important thing. Um, is if we have the focus on the right things, we understand we're playing a game. It kind of takes some of that uh, pressure away and allows them to just play. So that's been the approach. It's just let's get better every day. Let's keep growing together. I know what we have. We know we can score the ball, um, and it finally showed up on Saturday, which was fun.
You mentioned being a young team, and we were talking before we kicked this off. I mean, just two seniors in Emma Berg and Ashley Lang, handful of juniors, a pair of sophomores, but nine freshmen. That's heavily kind of dominated. When you look at just the youthfulness you have on the team. Like, how does that influence maybe your approach to practices, player development, and really kind of prepping them for game day? Because you've got a tough schedule again this year. I mean, just for being
Yep.
in the CCIW, but some really good non-conference as well. How does that influence how you kind of approach this year with heavily dominated by freshmen?
Well, we have been teaching relatively slowly. Our first scrimmage came pretty quick, and we just had some basic things in. Obviously we're trying to press this year. We didn't even get to that before our first scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
So second scrimmage, we got in the press maybe 2 days before. Um, Started to put in, some out of bounds plays. We spent a lot of time on defense. Spent a lot of time on just trying to get concepts of spacing, motion, movement down, and doing a lot of daily habits. Little things that are shooting drills that are movements and motions that we're going to get out of offense. So just spending a lot of time getting those things. And I won't say down because we don't have them down yet, but just learning those basic fundamental things for us. And so it's gone slowly. Um, we've obviously the last week going into our games pushed and tried to speed things up. Like, all right, now my patience for these things are going to start being here. These are things now we can't keep repeating. So I'm kind of picking. All right, we've addressed this enough, guys. You either get it or you don't, and now there's consequences. These things I still understand. We just put this in last week, or we just started working on this. I'll give you some grace. That's kind of been the process. An example is day before our or our second scrimmage, we started working on double teams. Again, we didn't have to do that last year. We had a luxury of being really tall and having post players that we didn't need to double. Um, However, this year our concept is more, 40 minutes of pressure, whether we're pressing or whether we're in the half court denying, um, extending our weak side help. So we're cutting them off outside the paint and we're double teaming on every post catch, basically. Um, that takes some time for them to feel comfortable and trust the system a little bit because, again, if I'm going to go double team, I'm leaving my man, and I don't want them to score. Well, stop worrying about that. Five people guarding the ball. We do this, we drop, we rotate. And I think that over the course of Friday and Saturday, we got better and better at that. Thought we did a really good job of double teaming. On Friday, St. Mary's, their best player is a 6'2" all conference. She'd be first team all conference in our league on a good team without question. She was good, and we held her to 12 points. However, we let their shooter go off for what 7 threes, and part of that was just the rotation out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I wasn't going to stop doubling. This is how we're going to play. We watched a lot of film on. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. We didn't have much time, but Saturday before our game, we watched film on the rotation part, and this is where we gave this up. Even down the stretch of Friday, we had it to a 2 possession game. We're going on a little run. We get a double team in. Top person doesn't drop. They kick to the shooter, hits another three, and that was kind of the dagger. Um, and after the game, again, for me, said, guys, I'm not panicking. We're young. We got things to learn. We messed up here. We messed up here. We're not scoring yet because we're still rushed and playing like we're, deers in headlights right now. But that's just us, a new group, a lot of new faces, a lot of youth. just learning and getting comfortable. So showed some film, stressed a few things as far as slowing down, and again, we want to play fast but not hurried. And I think we were rushed and hurried in the first two games, just getting used to the speed. But I told them we're not changing anything. We're not slowing it down. We're going to keep pushing. You're going to learn to get comfortable. And I thought they settled in and did a great job on Saturday.
Who are some of the players you'll be looking to kind of lean on this season?
Well, obviously, you got Emma Berg. You mentioned Emma Berg's a senior that's been, you know, in some form in the starting lineup for 4 years. She's one of the best shooters I've ever had the pleasure to coach. She's one of the kindest people and best people I've ever been able to coach. Um, between her, Cadence Tatum is the heart and soul of our team in so many ways because that kid will get hurt in every other game somehow because she plays so hard and she's going to take charges and sacrifices her body, but she always gets up and somehow she's like, I've called her Wolverine before. She just heals extremely fast, and next thing you know, she's back on the court. I mean, last year, first game of the year is when she broke her nose, and I'm like, oh shoot, she's done, and next thing you know, she's right next to me, like, Coach, I'm ready. Like, what? You're ready to go back in? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, let's go. So Cadence just brings so much because that kid will play until she passes out. She will not quit, and she gives us so much because of that. Carly Stone, extremely skilled player, has battled injuries the last 2 years, which has been frustrating, but she's feeling healthy this year and really stepping up and leading. Obviously, we've seen it already, but Audrey Erickson, even though she's a freshman, she's just capable of doing things from an athleticism, skill standpoint, kind of feel for the game. Uh, to go in her third game and have almost a triple double is pretty impressive, and it was very efficient. And that was after a disappointing first game where she was nervous and turned the ball over a lot and was frustrated. Um, but again, we really don't allow that frustration to set in and allow them to hold it. I know that's a hard ask, but we can't play frustrated, and we have to get over it. Those are just emotions, and that's always a challenge every year. But this group has really embraced that, and they understand. And we don't let them. If we see the face, we just let them know, like, change your face. And I get a lot of this. My bad, coach. I got you.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case. I've tried that before, and get more pouting. And this group's really, really coachable, really tough. They're hungry. Um, obviously we're playing 9, 10 people quite a bit and spreading out those. So there's a lot of people we're going to rely on, and I think game to game it can be different. But those are I think the core group top of my head right now.
How would you summarize, this incoming class? Because as I see even long term, it's going to be such a pivotal recruiting class around continued success, 2 and 3 years down the road here. They're going to get. Oh, did I lose you there? All right, I think we lost Coach Beinborn. Hey, there
There
you
we
go.
go. Okay.
All right.
I'm on my phone, so I had a FaceTime come in. I tried to cancel it or
Yeah.
ignore it, but it
I
kept
know you guys are
distracting.
dealing with that power outage over there at Carver, so
Yep. Yep.
no worries. No, I was just talking about this incoming freshman class is going to get a ton of playing time, which is going to really pay dividends towards the end of this season and really for the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, how would you summarize this incoming class if you were to do so?
Wow. Um, they are. Here's what we've said about them from day one. They're a group of ballers. Like, these kids even in the summer, they were traveling here for our open gyms. Not all of them, obviously. We had a kid from Colorado. She wasn't making the trip out, but we had kids from the Chicago area and obviously our locals. But the Chicago kids were coming and driving for our open gyms in the summer, which you're going to commit to driving 2, 3 hours, for a night to come in, play with your teammates, and get in some extra work. That's some commitment. They're in the gym every day. There are kids in this freshman class who I see in the gym every single day, outside of practice, and they get in together. And it's not just the underclassmen. The upperclassmen, the returners, they understand that that's an expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's always the expectation, but you don't always have classes all the way through that do it. You're always going to lose some. They're in college and other things become more important, and that's fine. But this group is hungry. They work hard. They're very coachable. They are tough. I'll give you an example. First game, and again, I expect mistakes right now. I'm not in this mode of we should be playing great basketball right now. It's the third game. We've played what, 6 freshmen over the course of these games, in regular minutes. We've played all of them at some point, but uh, in the Platteville game, Tia Lewis, who is just an amazing personality, fun kid, great teammate. We're pushing her, and she had a turnover, and I just looked at her, and right away she's just giving one of these and looking at me, and I was like, "That's one too many dribbles. Kick that. Help commits. Kick that." And she just looked at me running back down the court. She said, "I got you, coach. Won't happen again." And I was like, "Thank you." Right away, like that's all I need. I don't need you to drop your head. I don't need an excuse. And I'm not mad at you. I just have to hold you accountable and teach you. And as long as you let me, we're in a good place. And that kind of sums up this whole freshman class. Audrey Erickson um, is obviously you've watched her play. I mean, she's
Mm-hmm.
talented, and we've pushed her. Like, we need you playing harder on the defensive end. You didn't always have to do that in high school. Weren't always 5 threats on the floor. We have 5 threats against that we're playing against. You have to be in weak side position. You need this. Each game she stepped up since our scrimmages and gotten better and better and better. Um, there's again, that's just kind of the mindset. And then I didn't even mention, but I have to. Dolly Smith, she is a Cadence junior. That kid the other night, between her and Cadence, those ball handlers, when we put Dolly back on the floor, you could see them just like, oh, shoot, because she just hounds them from end line to end line. And she is so quick. And again, just like Cadence, she's going to give everything. She doesn't get tired very quickly, and she pushes through all the way till she needs a break. And she actually asked one for like a minute something left in the quarter the other night, and we're like, no, you have to push through this. And she did. So again, it's just a tough group. They really understand the game. They really want to be good. They really look up to the upperclassmen and listen, but yet bring their own leadership as well. I encourage the team. You're all leaders. I want you all to be leaders, and leadership is also listening. We have to listen to each other. We have to be honest with each other, and that's we have a rule called positive talk, real talk, and that means that you pass me the ball, I score it. I better be pointing at you and saying nice pass, and you should be saying good shot. And now we're going back in together. Now we do that throughout the game. I don't box out one possession. You should be able to yell at me when you're boxing yours out. Mine comes running in, grabs that rebound, and gets a putback. Like, I need you to box out. I should be able to accept that from you. But if we're not given all the positives, it's hard to just accept those. So they've gotten really good at just their energy and being positive, but also holding each other accountable, and not taking it personally. That's probably one of the most exciting things about this group, and the freshmen to come in and kind of accept that, um, and just grow from it. It's been fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I was looking at the roster, I mean, you had said earlier, there's a ton of familiar faces I see. because I had spent some time with QC Sportsnet a couple years ago, and got the chance to follow around, UT and the Alleman girls. So you think about even the types of teams, in that base principle and kind of the work ethic is really kind of carried through, when you're going after folks from Moline and United Township and Alleman and, like Audrey Erickson, was playing with Claire Hulke, here
Yep.
recently. And, Sierra Hull, she started alongside Tia Lewis. And then, you had Lorena Wu, who's the big recruit out of UT. So they've been surrounded and played with really good talent locally.
Yep.
So that's, that just continues to kind of carry over, into the type of program you're looking to build from too. So
Right.
it's exciting to see some of that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
So the CCIW, let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, it's a tough conference to play in.
Yep.
Milliken, Illinois Wesleyan, Carroll, those were the top, last year. How do you feel like, the guard, transferred out of Milliken, she went to Illinois State. So that's one person you don't have to worry about necessarily.
Yep.
But Milliken does a nice job of kind of backfilling talent. So, how do you feel like the team, will stack up once you really start meshing, here within the CCIW this year?
Yeah. Well, again, being young, I know that we have our growth curve, but I do believe that this team, our ball handling, and skill set, quickness, you know, I think we're better prepared to play a team like Illinois Wesleyan. However, uh, Illinois Wesleyan is right now playing extremely well. They did not lose a single player from last year's team. Um, they're quick. Their press is different. I think that Coach Smith, and I've said this as long as I've been in the CCIW, she probably runs the best version of a run and jump press that I've ever seen. However, we've also had guards in the past in groups, teams that were pretty good and skilled with the ball that we were able to get them to take it off. But when we don't have those guards, we've had some struggles, and I think these guards, as unfortunately we don't start conference and play them right away. But I think we're better prepared to take care of the ball. The other night against Edgewood, we had 13 turnovers. That's our lowest turnover total in I don't want to say how many years, but that was our goal the last couple years. We just got to get our turnovers under 15 and less, and guys, we're going to be hard to beat. You go to last year, our game against Milliken, who was again ranked seventh. Um, we lose by what, 8, 10, somewhere in there, and we held at least to 8 points. We out rebounded them by double figures. We shot 40 some percent, held them to 36%. We every statistical category we had them beat, but we turned it over 29 times. They got 30 more shots than us. I mean, that's the game. So
Yeah.
we have to take care of the ball, and how quickly this group, matures, handles pressure, and just grows is going to be the key. But we're not going into conference thinking anything other than we want to be in a position to be in that top group and compete for a championship. I know it's hard to win with youth. See, you got Carroll and Wesleyan who are very senior dominated, with all Americans. That's a tough task, but that's what I love about this conference. Having been in other conferences, I've coached in places where I was actually at Edgewood
Yep.
years ago, coached men and women, and every year, men's and women's side, we won 20, around 20 plus games. We'd get to the conference or get to the national tournament, and we'd get beat by a team from the CCIW or the Wisconsin State Schools or the Iowa Conference. So there is a I don't know what you'd want to call it, a stressfulness being in a league like this where the worst team the bottom team can beat anybody on any given night. And the top teams, you got to bring your best to beat them. But as a competitor, I love being in the CCIW. I don't want to say, oh, we win 20 games every year. We played a couple teams that we know we're going to beat by 20 plus every time. I like saying every night's going to be a battle. Let's go bring our best. Let's get tested. It's the same reason I schedule a lot of tough non-conference games.
Yeah.
Again, I don't care. Don't get me wrong. I don't like losing. I don't like losing. But how do we learn and how do we grow? It's not going to be scheduling cupcake games that, okay, this is safe. We're going to start off going into conference undefeated or one or two losses. I'm saying let's play the best teams we can, and if we end up with 3 to 5 losses in our early games, and we learn and grow, and we're prepared for conference, then so be it. We win those, great. We maybe we get votes, but I don't play for that. I
Mm-hmm.
play for us to position ourselves to be playing at our best, and I want players by conference by January, February, and I want players who understand that and want that, be okay with being tested and being challenged early.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace it. What can we learn from it? I just think that that's a approach that I would want my kids and therefore my players who, if I don't treat them like my kids, then I and wanting the best for their future, which is again, let's challenge and see how we can deal with adversity, and let's see how we can learn and grow. And if we step up, great. And if not, take the Platteville game and okay, what can we learn from this?
Yep.
We weren't very poised. We got frustrated here. Now we went from playing great defense to giving up 8 points because we got sloppy and undisciplined. Okay, so we can see we can do this. Now, how can we keep this focus and discipline longer? And that's what great teams are able to do. Execute for a longer period of time.
Well, and
And
it's
that's what this
also
team's got to learn.
well, it's also going to help just slow down the game for them too, right? I mean, you go off and you play, the YX schools or the WIAC as we're supposed to say, but
Right.
yes, you have Wesleyan, Carroll's ranked. Milliken's a great program, but then you go up and you go up to the Dells and you're going to be playing Oshkosh, who's currently number
Yep.
8,
Yep.
um, as well as Concordia Chicago, and but the CCIW keeps building on it. I think a great example is North Park. They continue to invest into their athletics and
Yep.
continue to get more competitive. Really across the board. So, hopefully, right early on, that'll start to slow down the game for them a little bit. And start winning, start
Yeah.
winning a little bit
Yeah.
more. That's
Yeah.
what it boils down
Exactly.
to.
I
Um,
told them after our first two games, I said, guys, do you know what we started the year off 2 years ago when we had the best season here in 30 years? And, our returners all kind of smiled and were nodding. The freshmen had no idea. Like we were 2-5 to start that season, or 2-3 to start the season. But we played Oshkosh, we played Platteville, um, and we played them early, first games, and we weren't prepared for that. They weren't overall completely ready, but as the year went on, we got better and better. We got more disciplined. We got tougher, and those were games we were capable of winning by the end of the year. So that's what it's about. Again, growth, and progress.
yep, absolutely. Would you mind maybe talking a little bit about your staff? So, you have several assistant coaches. Would you maybe just talk a little bit about them and kind of what roles they play on the team?
Yeah, so obviously my full time assistant Markeisha Harris Posto, she's a Moline grad. Went on to play D1, went on to play overseas, played professionally up until just a couple years ago, and she came back to Moline and was coaching, at the high school level. And um, I when I had the opening, I wanted to snatch her up pretty quickly. I think that her basketball knowledge, being local, obviously just being able to do what she did, the players, respect her and look up to her. And even more importantly, the thing about my staff is what's important to me when I'm hiring is just like when I'm recruiting. And this isn't something that I always was, I looked at talent we all look at talent. Now I look at talent and character. Well, same thing with my staff. I want character. I want people who understand that we are mentors to these young people. I think that when I was younger, the game and the wins and like, trying to get there was the focus. Now for me, yes, I want to get there, but I believe the way we do it is the most important part, and it's how we treat the players. But you got to challenge them. You can't be soft on them. I think that we've gone wrong as a society, with our youth and trying to protect too much versus let's challenge and push. Let's have expectations. Um, and and I think that we found a core group of players that do that, and our coaching staff believes in that. And Marquisha is just a great human being. She loves these kids. Uh, I know they're young adults, but I'm 50, so I always see them as kids, and she cares about them. She brings a lot of basketball knowledge. She's great in practice. She's great on the bench, and that bench chemistry always takes time to develop. And we're in year two, and I feel like we've already grown a ton. We have great, constant communication. We're on the same page, and she's working her butt off. So can't be more pleased. Abby Staples. Abby Staples has a place in my heart, my family's heart. When I came here as an assistant, Abby was a freshman, so I got to coach her on, for 4 years as an assistant. She joined staff right after she graduated. She loves the program. She loves the players. Um, she loves the school, and her commitment, being part time, and she's a full time teacher. She gives a lot and puts in a lot of time. Eric Rowell, I mean, you know Eric. Eric's
Yep.
one of the best human beings I've ever met in my life. He's just a good man. We're lucky to have him. Basketball wise, I mean, he knows the game. We have him for recruiting as his big role. He always jokes that he's the comic relief on the staff, and he'll come in and crack some jokes and just be the fun guy, and that's okay. We need that. But he does a great job with our post players, and again, just is extremely committed. Like he'll text players and have them stop in his office just to talk if he feels like they might need one.
Mm.
And so he's been really good for that and that support role as well. So I'm blessed with a really good staff, and at this level, it's hard to get. You don't have all the money to fully staff like higher levels do. So there tends to be a revolving door, and to be able to have Eric and Abby for so long, and to be blessed to get Marquisha at this point, I feel pretty fortunate.
Um, Switching gears, back to, kind of going back to like 2016, 2017, the Vikings were like the fourth highest, scoring offense, 82 points a game. And,
Yep.
seeing a nice jump, to score 73 against Edgewood. Um, what do you really feel like it's going to take to get that team kind of back to that, that level of scoring? Because, like you said, you've got a ton of ballers and a ton of people that can shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
Is it really just more about getting them to slow down? Is it the pace of play, or is it just like, hey, we got to be more comfortable and better shot selections to knock the ball down? I mean, it's probably all those things a little bit, but
Yeah,
yeah.
you just hit it. It's all of those things. It started with slowing down. Because again, I want us to play up tempo, but up tempo doesn't mean playing fast and hurried, right? And getting used to it, which I saw it in practice. Oh, that's sloppy. Oh, that's sloppy. But we got to keep doing this because we have the pieces to play this way. Um, and it doesn't always make the other teams comfortable when you're playing fast as well. So it's slowing down a little bit. Slowing down also leads to better shots. Offensively, you could see it in our first two games, whether we were getting a kick and just passing up a shot, just panicking and just putting the ball on the floor too quick. And so many passes, just, when we are driving, jump passes, 1 foot. Those are things that we're like, we can't keep, we have to focus on jump stops, poise, slow down offensively. Yes, if you have a kick out and there's an open lane, rip and go. You know, your man showed help, they kicked, and you got this wide, just rip and go. But otherwise, sometimes we just got to catch, hold, jab, read what your teammates are doing so we don't miss the open cut or miss. And those are the things we just didn't see in the first two games. Everything was rushed and everything was, our spacing was poor in the first game. Second game, our spacing was better, but our movement, you know, being on the same page on where we should be when this middle drive happens, what should every piece be doing? We weren't all on the same page, and it was just rushed. And you could see it. You could see it in the eyes of, our young players in the first two games. Just everything was, just so fast. And
Wide-eyed.
so I told them
Yeah.
after that St. Mary's, guys, again, I'm not panicked. I know we have the capabilities to score. This is the best shooting team as far as depth all the way. We got most times on the floor, we have five people who can shoot the three. And I mean, shoot it pretty well. Now, there are certain people that we are our green light. Like they get this at any point, they better shoot it if they're open. We can't have that for everybody, but rhythm threes, kickouts off of offensive rebounds, everybody should be ready to catch and shoot. So, um, when we came in at halftime on Saturday, because again, I told them right before the game, again, guys, I know we can score. I have zero concerns about these first two games, even though 40.5 points per game is not ideal. But we went from getting bad shots to getting better shots the second game, but they were still a little rushed. And I was like, we just need to settle in. So halftime against Edgewood on Saturday, I came in the locker room, and I'll say it verbatim. I did not cuss. I said it. I said it exactly how I'm going to say it now. But I walked in and I just said, "I knew you mother could score," and they all just went crazy. Like I was like, "I told you." Just we settled. We made extra passes. We saw the open players. We shared the ball. The first games we didn't not share it because we're selfish. We didn't share it because we were panicked and rushed and we didn't see it. Um, this is not a selfish group. So getting back to that, are we going to score 70 plus every night? I don't know. You're going to have good games, bad games. As long as we defend every night, I think we're going to have some nights where we're going to, blow it wide open as far as offense. But there might be those nights where we struggle a little bit and shots aren't falling. And are we going to keep crashing, get second shot opportunities, get some free throws from it, still defend and get our stops and focus on that end? And that's the key for us. So I think that, but again, would I like to score a lot? Yes. It's fun. And I do believe this team has the firepower to do it pretty consistently. But, we're young and it's early, and we're just going to focus one game at a time and keep improving off of things that we don't do well in that game and try to take a step each night.
Well, and you're talking about the Edgewood game. I mean, going in with a 35-21 halftime lead, you always worry coming out, of giving up that lead that you've built and really just kind of maintain. Both scored 14 there in the third, but what I thought was again another step in the right direction is put up 24 in the fourth, so outscored them
Yeah.
24-12. So like you want to talk about being able to close out games, and whether
Yeah.
that's on the line, whether that's finishing, that right there, shows another step in the right direction. And looking at that old, that team, from the 16-17 season, I mean, it's like they also gave up 76 points, a game too.
Yeah.
So like those were tight games, across the
Yes.
board. So, being able to kind of close out that fourth quarter, it gives you just a little bit, more, buffer, as well. So it's good to
Yeah.
see. I plan on coming Saturday to the Co game, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. Well, I thought too, we did a really good job coming out at halftime. You said that that's part of it. You come out, you have that lead at half. How are you going to come out in the second half? And there was too many times last year where we had slow starts in the second half and kind of maybe had a lead, and all of a sudden it's back to, you know, a single possession game, or they take the lead back and we fight it out. Um, we came out at halftime, and again, we just competed, and they were locked in defensively. This was the best game out of the three so far where we were communicating. And for me, I go back and show them film, and I look at transition. Are we pointing? Are we sprinting and pointing? If everybody's hands are doing this, 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 and you can see that, now we're doing what we need to do. If we're not,
Mm-hmm.
we're not playing the right way. And um, we sustained that throughout the game on Saturday. And I think that's the big difference when you bring up that, because I compare this group at times to that group. Not compare the group, but we had Casey Kallenberger at 6'5". Well, we have Callie Papez at 6'3", who can, is different, but we have that length. We have great guard play. We have more shooting than that group lacked shooting overall across the board. We had a lot people who could just put it on the floor and create some things, but our shooting across the board was not as good as this group. And that group did not. We put on pressure, and our press was effective, but we didn't just lock in defensively like I wanted us to. This group's locked in defensively in a different way, and it's already their mindset. And I think that if we can be a high-powered offense and focus on our defense and let that be our bread and butter every night, not just that we're going to outscore you. Um, Obviously, ball is an offensive game. I mean, that whole Bear Bryant statement of defense wins championships. That's so easy to say in football because you can win 3-0. In basketball, you still have to put up points. The advantage is going to go to the offense in a one-on-one scenario if that offensive player is any good all day. That's why you play team defense. Just all guard one-on-one with no help. So that's what brings and makes that different. You have to be able to score the basketball to win games at this level, uh, which obviously shows in our first two. Because
Yeah.
I thought in the St. Mary's game we defended pretty well, but we just couldn't put the ball in the hole. But again, all part of the learning process for this group, and I think they're doing the right things for us to keep taking steps.
Well, and it's a really good matchup Saturday with Coe. Kind of looking ahead is kind of the last topic here to talk through. Coe beat Platteville this past Saturday. They were 21-6 last year, 3-1 currently. Their only loss, right, came to that, Oshkosh game,
Yep.
64-55. So, I mean, you think about, again, coming off, you get a week to prepare, but coming off of a really solid win here at home, you're going to have a nice little 4-game home stretch here. That's a good challenge to kind of bounce back to, and be playing on your home court. It's got to give, the team some reassurance there and some positive outlook. I mean, what's kind of your thoughts on Saturday?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. We actually had Carly Stone stopped in the office yesterday, and we just kind of reflected on the weekend. And she brought up, she's like, Cole's good. She was like, I'm excited to play them, like, and started talking about some of their players. So she's already doing her own personal scout. Um, I think it's going to be, it's always a fun game. Kayla's done a great job with that program, and they're competitive every year. And just like any of us, we have our better years and cycle through as we lose some players. And but she's done a good job of keeping them relevant, keeping them extremely competitive, and they had a phenomenal year last year. They can score the ball. Uh, they have, a couple players that are capable of having big nights, but yet they can have nights where their leading scorer is 12 and they have a whole bunch of people in double figures. So they're dangerous because of that. They play hard. They play the right way. Again, I think this is going to be a fun game. It's a good challenge. That home stretch is nice. We didn't have that last year. We were on the road a ton until besides our tournament early, we're on the road until December. So it's exciting to have this, and this is a good game to jump it off with. Again, they're going to give us a good test. They're going to make us work, and that's the way I want it to be.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thanks again for spending some time today. Obviously, good luck on Saturday. It's been 44 minutes. I think this might be the longest interview. So it's been an awesome conversation.
I am known to talk.
Well, a reminder to those watching. So Saturday, Vikings host Coe College here at home, 1 p.m. You can watch on YouTube, or even better, go there in person and support them and cheer them on. So and amp up the additional Carver Crazies
Yep.
experience that definitely known for. So
Right.
again, thanks again, Coach. I appreciate
Of
connecting
course.
today.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you for doing this, and not just for us, but just in general, what you're doing. I think it's a beautiful thing. Um, having that support and uh, just from alums, community, and all that is why we do this, and it makes it more fun and more enjoyable. We don't like to go play for nobody. So
Yep.
getting our crowds and getting more attention out there is all part of the beast, and I appreciate you for doing this.
Absolutely. Well, my wife's gonna be out of town this weekend, so my plan is I'll have both the boys, and it's like, well, we don't have anything planned for Saturday, so let's go watch some basketball. So should be
Awesome.
a good
Well,
one.
shoot me a text as a reminder, I'll put you on the pass list so you guys don't have to pay to get in. All right.
Ah, perfect. I like it.
All
Media
right. Good
rights. I
stuff.
like it.
That's
Appreciate
right.
it.
All
Thanks,
right. I
Coach.
appreciate you. Yep.